Good day and welcome to the Doctrine of Christ. My name is Pastor T.L. Emmanuel. We're still talking about the coming collapse and the coming storm, and we're still sharing prophecies to that effect. Today I'm going to share more prophecies with you, and I want to begin with one that focuses on the lockdown. The Lord spoke to me last year already, and He told me there's another lockdown coming. There's another lockdown. This is now another global lockdown, something similar to what we saw at the beginning of the pandemic, something that's going to affect all nations on planet Earth. Another lockdown that's coming. We've been told that that will never happen again. It will harm the economy. Different nations have been saying it, that will never do that again. But the Lord says that's coming. There's going to be yet another lockdown, another global one. In fact, I had a dream, and I'm going to share the dream with you, what I saw. I was in my house, and I shared this on my Facebook page as well. I was in my house walking out of the kitchen door. It was dark outside, and I couldn't tell whether it was dawn or dusk. When I looked up, I saw what looked like hundreds of military planes in the sky. There were World War II camouflage colored aircraft. What was peculiar about these planes was the altitude. They were flying very low. They were just a few meters above my roof, possibly not much higher than a street light, so I could see them very clearly. It felt like the whole country, if not the whole world, was on lockdown. I could sense that in my spirit. But one more stringent than the one we saw before. So this lockdown that we're going to see next will be more stringent. I could feel that in my spirit, that this one is far more intense. Yes, we've done the previous one, but now these world governments have more experience. They know how to do it. It's going to be enforced more strictly. There was an eerie feeling of danger and suspense. While still looking up, one of the planes dropped something in my yard. It looked like a large professional tennis bag, one that holds multiple rackets. You can imagine that size bag, but only much larger, almost 3 times the size of a large tennis bag. The bags were white with a blue trim. In my heart, I just knew that these planes were dropping supplies in different neighborhoods. I then quickly ran back in the house to call my family to share the good news, because I felt this is good news. My son ran out the door with me, and we went to pick up the bags. Suddenly, more bags rained down from the planes and landed in my yard. I remember feeling blessed that I was getting so much provision. From what I could gather, the other bags fell on other people's yards or other communal spaces, but it was clear that the planes didn't drop supplies in every yard. As we were about to take one of the bags inside the house, I suddenly saw a number of attack dogs outside my yard, growling. Just when I thought that my fence was enough to be a deterrent, suddenly 2 of the dogs were in the yard trying to get to the supplies. I suddenly realized that I was wearing work boots with a steel-tipped nose. I then started kicking the dogs violently. I remember not feeling any fear at all. I just felt annoyed and couldn't wait to kill these dogs. While I was still kicking the dogs, a sharp sword was placed in my hands, and I started hacking away at them with it. As I was cutting the dogs with my sword, the fur and skin around their necks were removed, thus exposing their bloody neck bones. And I then decapitated both dogs, and then I woke up. So with this dream, I believe God was showing me what's going to happen with the next lockdown. There's a lockdown coming. What's going to happen is it's going to be so severe. I believe that supermarkets will be shut down. I believe there'll be food shortages. I believe that different governments will then have to intervene. They'll have to then ration the citizens and then give them food. As to whether the food will be dropped in through planes or not is not very clear. But I believe that we are going to see a very stringent lockdown. I believe that different governments, they've been talking about a universal basic income grant. I believe that's coming, and I believe it's part of what I saw. I believe that we are headed for a socialist government, global government, where different governments are now going to take it upon themselves to look after their citizens because of the collapse. I believe, as we've been saying, it's something that is man-made, that is induced, and the motive is very sinister. So we're going to see this thing happen where different people will be under lockdown globally, and we're going to see governments then begin to feed their people, and it's going to be socialism. Socialism is going to be like that. As the number of casualties rises because of the lethal nature of the Delta variant, global governments will call for another lockdown. They're definitely going to do it. They've already started. We've seen now in South Africa they're calling for level 5. Immediately after the president came back from the G7 meeting, because South Africa was invited, the first thing he called for was a higher level of the lockdown. He moved us from level 1 to level 3. Now they're calling for level 5, which is the highest level. We're going to be seeing that happen all over the world. In the UK had said that by June they would have eased restrictions. Now they're saying we are increasing restrictions or keeping the ones that we have. And that's happening globally. America is already warning that they might do the same. So they're going to call for another lockdown. But this one will be far worse than the shutdown we saw previously and the isolated mini lockdowns that we've been seeing around the world. So I believe there's the lockdown that's coming, and we're going to share more detail about other things that are coming. I could get more into detail with about this word, what each and everything represents, but I don't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to share with you that indeed there is another lockdown coming, and it's going to be more stringent than the one that we saw last year. Thank you, and God bless you.